Hey folks, welcome back to Odyssey Africana.
Thanks, Chloe. What an amazing kit. And you've really put me out of my misery with the Sunday best.
Cycling Dan now, cycling Dan.
Oh, I never thought I'd see the day.
Well, welcome to the wrap-up video for Kenya. As usual, we're going to talk down the episode, bring you our thoughts, comments and criticisms.
That's right, and I guess the first thing to say about Kenya is just how geographically diverse a place it is. It's incredible. We entered in the desert in the north. We saw tropical beaches on the east, savanna in the south, and who can forget the Great Rift Valley with its mountains, its lakes, and it's all centered around Mount Kenya, our biggest challenge so far.
Yeah, certainly my biggest challenge, my biggest mountain of them all. And I found it more difficult than any of the cycling that we've done.
Really? Well, what about the Turbi Desert?
Yeah, that was a big challenge in itself, and it was sort of just one of those really strange, surreal moments, of which we have many here in Africa. But leaving Ethiopia, the feeling of relief, and then you're straight out into this inhospitable environment.
Yeah. Well, you say inhospitable. It always felt like a bit of a homecoming in many senses because of the colonialism that is so evident in Kenya. I mean, the road signs, there's a certain feel that the British have left.
Yeah, definitely. It feels colonial.
Very much so.
It really feels like that.
I think one of the other things which I really noticed first in the Turbi Desert was just how much wildlife there is around here as well.
Yeah.
I was a bit not disappointed in Africa, but certainly from a wildlife perspective, you don't see anything in Ethiopia and north. But then we came into the Turbi Desert, there was ostrich, there were antelope, we camped up and there were hyena, calling at night.
Yeah.
It really feels like we're in heartland Africa now.
Yeah, it does, because Kenya's the Africa everyone thinks about. We've written this story for ourselves in the West of this savannah with zebras running around and all. This is where you find that stuff. It's here, we've seen it. We really feel like we're in Africa now.
Yeah. And out of interest, what did you think of the national parks here in Kenya?
Yeah. So for me, the national parks, firstly, I found almost prohibitively expensive. They are so expensive.
Yeah, true.
On a number of occasions, pricing me out of the market. Once you're in, I sort of expected more. I kind of expected there to be a bigger difference. But in actual fact, when we were there on the break and we went to the outskirts of Amboseli without actually going in, I really didn't feel like I missed much by not going in. I mean, I didn't go in, so I don't know for sure, but that's the feeling I got is it's a good way to get money in for this conservation effort that's going on. But at the same time, I don't 100% know that they're always necessary. Yeah,
sure. And for me, it really stank of, money grabbing from the government. And you get the feeling a lot in Kenya about corruption, essentially. It's in the headline news. People are talking about it all the time. And it's a tough one because the people feel like they can do very little about it.
Yeah, it's so difficult because everyone's talking about it, everyone knows about it, but people, like, their hands are tied. I don't know if there's a path out of this, a bit like the whole social mobility problem as well, like the economical issues of people on $1 a day, and then, like how you put it the other day, the logarithmic scale of people on $1 a day, $10 a day, hundreds and thousands, and no way to move between them. Just people are sort of trapped in whatever situation they're born into.
That's so true, and it's difficult because the people, when they don't feel that there's any way to reach a higher social status, they get frustrated, and you can really feel the frustration here. Amongst normal everyday Kenyans towards their government, towards richer people. And I think that's why we may have felt a bit of a divide when we were talking to a lot of people, because there's still that feeling that they want something out of you.
Yeah, that was one of the disappointments really for me, is just when you're trying to make friends with people, if there's a financial gradient there, you're left feeling like they just want something from you, and that's why they're being so nice and friendly. Obviously, that's not everybody, but it's still very prevalent.
No, definitely not everybody. I think one of my takeaways was just how friendly the Kenyans are. They're amazing people.
Yeah.
And it's just such a beautiful place. Really, it's I can't really recommend Kenya enough. It's if you want the truly African experience, come to Kenya.
Yeah, going back to the people. There's a depth, isn't there? There's just a depth to the people, and there's, as we like to say in Britain, there's good banter. You can
soul.
There's colour. It's there's rhythm. There's music here.
Yeah,
and pretty good music.
Well, you would say that it is mostly based on Jamaican and sort of Caribbean influences, but
it's in my blood.
Yeah.
So. The big question that I have for you is, could you live in Kenya for 5 years?
Yes, I think I could.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I think as long as you know sort of where you're going to place yourself in society and
in the government.
And I'd rather be at the $100 to $1,000 a day end personally, but no, I think there's a certain freedom to life here, and you can really feel it, amongst the people, the sort of the black Kenyan people, the white Kenyan people. They've all come together, and they just love their country.
Yeah, you feel that there's a real Kenyan pride. It's a real thing.
Yeah, but sounds like you had a few tricky situations on the road. You're probably lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you quickly one in particular. We were on a bus, and a lot of the time there's 2 or 3 or 4 numbers of overtakings happening at the same time. So we're on the dirt road next to the road trying to overtake something, and suddenly there's this ravine, and we were inches from falling into this ravine because the brakes on this bus weren't all that great either.
On the edge of the precipice, was it?
It was a bit of an Italian job moment. But the drivers, what I've come away feeling is cycling is probably one of the safest ways to cross Africa, because you're in control of your own wheels, and when you're on buses and stuff, you're always in the hands of these suicidal lunatics.
yeah, for sure. I think overall, my takeaway, really positive. I could forgive the Kenyan people for a hint of rip-off. There is a lot of division in society here. There's obviously the sort of the usual African problems, I'd call it, which we've seen throughout so far.
Yeah.
But I can forgive them that, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
Yeah. Big surprises on the economy for me. Like it's expensive, even for us. It's costs you a lot of money to be here for a while, and yet there's also $1 a day people around. It's the economy is a really tricky one to get your head around. But with all that being said, like Dan, absolutely have loved my experiences here in Kenya, and would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, true. And we've seen our first buffalo bikes here. We've seen buffalo bikes in the flesh, on the roads, carrying loads. Yeah, and the people we've spoken to have told us just what a life changer they've been. So thank you to all those who have supported us by giving to World Bicycle Relief. It really has made a big difference to people's lives here, and will continue to do so. Yes, indeed. And thank you very much for your support to us as well, staying tuned to our journey and giving us the encouragement when we most need it. Yeah. Thanks so much, guys, and we look forward to seeing you next time.